Welcome to this week's episode of Devil's Trap Podcast. I'm Diana.
And I'm Liz.
And we're going to talk season 12, episode 8, Lotus.
Lotus. I'm sitting in lotus position.
Are you?
Actually, I am. Except my hands aren't in that position. Now they are. Okay, now I'm in lotus. There we go. That's how we're starting this.
I'm not allowed.
No, I think your knee would. I don't think your knee would actually do that. Would it go in that position?
I mean, it might. I've got pretty good flexibility, but it would not feel good. Because I tried to do butterfly stretch and I was like, nope, not doing that.
I'd be so sad. That's my favorite stretch.
Well, I have to modify and just do just with your angled out and then stretch forward instead of butterfly. So you lose part of it, but you get some of it. Yeah. But yeah, so it's a lot. Yeah. So what have you been up to?
Really nothing exciting. And I hate, it's like, oh, this is always such a fun way to start a podcast. I'm like, no, I'm not doing anything. But it's just, once again, I think it's just because it's January and it's just gross. And I don't want to do anything. And I'm kind of mad when I have to do something. I'm very excited that I don't think I have to leave tomorrow. And if I have to leave my house for something, I'm going to be pissed off.
Well, I mean, it's been gross and it's because it's January and it's about to be grosser weather-wise. But yeah. I mean, I had the revelation that I think it's been over 30 days since I've seen live music, which sounds weird if you're not me. And that's crazy talk. But yeah, so I mean, I went out to dinner. That's kind of excitement these days.
Oh, please. I don't even go out to dinners. I was like, I went to a grocery store. It's closer to that. Or sometimes, I had Uber Eats bring me stuff from a restaurant. That's like going out to dinner.
That's close.
It was
close. I went to my favorite wine shop and had a glass of wine. That was nice.
That sounds nice. Yeah.
Little things, little neighborhood spots. So it's fine. But yeah. There we go. That's my excitement. That's all I got.
All right. Woohoo!
Party time.
Parties. Okay. So yeah, and there's no news in the boys' land. I looked them up yesterday. Nothing new, and nothing new on the Jared Padalecki broken leg front. Dun 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 dun.
Someday we'll find out.
Someday we'll find out. Keep saying, come on the podcast, Jared, and tell us what happened. So let's just dive into Lotus. So the word title Lotus is obviously a play. They said it in the episode, and it is a play on POTUS, and I do think it's kind of funny.
It is.
This was season 12, episode 8. It first aired December 8th, 2016, and was directed by Phil. I'm no longer going to attempt to pronounce his last name. And this was his first episode this season. Last season, he did 4 episodes, including the season finale, Alpha and Omega. So this was the first time we saw Phil this season. This was written by Eugenie Ross Lemming and Brad Buckner. And this season they already did Mamma Mia, which was episode 2. And so we're bringing them back with, there really isn't, I was going to say a Mary theme, but there isn't a Mary theme in this. So nope, they're just coming back.
There we go.
All right, so we start with our recap, and we start off with the accident with the British Men of Letters and Mr. Ketch, and we get Rowena and her fleeing, Lucifer as Vance, and him out of Vance, then Cass just taking all the responsibility again for no fucking reason, why he thinks he's responsible for all of Lucifer, I just still do not understand, and we'll continue to debate. And then Crowley and Cass together again, yay.
Mm-hmm. And so we go to there's a Catholic priest.
It is the archdiocese, which we find out later. Yes. But at first, my notes are like church, convent, someplace
I'm like, what is this place?
What do you call this thing? But what it actually is the Archdiocese of St. Louis.
Yes. And we got a priest that's listening to the news, and the bishop walks by, and he's the bishop because he's in red. Anyways, and he's like, turn it off, as they tell a story about Mr. Parker passing away. And apparently Mr. Parker was a big donor to the archdiocese and a friend of the bishop's. And so the priest quickly turns the radio off, and we see the bishop walk down the hallway, and as he's walking all the crosses and crucifixes turn upside down.
It's such a good effect. I love it so much.
Really well.
And then his eyes glow red, and it's, oh, Lucifer, you devil, you know. So
super well done. Yeah. So we go to Sam and Dean are at the morgue in Oklahoma. And the guy working the morgue, the assistant guy at the morgue, is like, yeah, your colleague's already inside. Who's already inside?
And inside is Cass and Crowley, and they're suited up next to a body. And Dean is just like, and he rips a badge off of Crowley's Armani suit. And but now we have all of them together surrounding a body.
And we do hear Cass call Crowley Agent Zappa. And they agree that Lucifer is getting more dangerous. And Dean is so annoyed by all of this.
He is.
So we go back to the bunker, and they're having beers and looking at, like, who else powerful could Lucifer possibly try to be in next. And that's when Sam finds a picture of the bishop in St. Louis with Mr. Parker receiving the donation. And they're like, well, shit. If you look at other pictures of this bishop, he was smiling before, and then he stopped smiling, and he stops wearing a cross and has canceled all of his public appearances. So apparently the bishop might be Lucifer now.
Right. So that is what they deduce. So now we're going to go back to the Archdiocese of St. Louis, and baby pulls in, and it's raining, and they didn't decide to go the priest route, which is kind of funny. Like, I think, if they'd shown up as, I would have gone with that, but they decided, for Sam and Dean, like, yeah, I think, this is an appropriate time to bring those cassocks out, but instead they're suited up as feds.
Yeah, they just feel like you get busted for faking.
I know, but I think it's a challenge. Anyways, so but when they get there, they try the bell and the knocker, and nobody answers, so they go on in.
There's like no power, it seems like, in the building,
right?
Or everything's off.
And then they figure the power is off.
Yeah, so they go inside, and they quickly find our priest that we saw earlier bleeding on the floor, and he does not look like he's in very good shape at all. And he's telling them that he knew something was wrong. He saw the crosses turning down the hallway after the bishop walked by, but apparently staff wanted to handle this internally and even tried an exorcism. And then they leave this guy bleeding on the floor and walk away.
Because it's Sam and Dean. So they're just like, he could have died anyways. It's fine. And so, but then we get to see the rest of the carnage, and there is so much. Yeah, I think this would make some people really uncomfortable, but there is a dead nun, and she is very dead. And then there's a priest who is
impaled.
That is a good, because I was like, how? But it's also very exorcisty. That is very similar to the way one of the priests in the not exorcisty, maybe Salem's Lot, where that's how the vampires in Salem's Lot were killed in one of them. So it was, I think, I just have this image of a priest impaled like that. So one of those two movies. Anyways, and then they were like, oh yeah, all these crosses are upside down. So they noticed that too. And then the nether room, they were like, oh no, what's this red robe over here?
And it is the burned out vessel of our bishop.
Too late.
So anyways, yeah, it's not a great scenario they're in.
Yeah, and we go from that to a man in pajamas who is praying, but unfortunately he's praying to Lucifer.
Yeah, he just doesn't know it, you can tell. And he is like, oh yeah, we're going to bring you promise you're going to bring true spiritual healing as my partner. Hallelujah. And then he says, I humbly accept your guidance. And then we have a white light that flows into him as his bodyguard sits in the next room. And now he has red eyes. Well, shit. Who's this guy? Who could he possibly be? And then he gets up and he looks at his reflection and starts having a conversation with himself. And this is really well done and really creepy all at once, because it is basically the vessel and Lucifer having a conversation in the mirror with themselves. And it's like basically Lucifer's like, I'm gonna give you a little more control than normal because I don't know this job or how to do this to make it convincing because it's super high profile. But well, that's the only way I can deliver on all the stuff I promised you.
And again, it's like Lucifer not playing guitar.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
You don't know how to be president? Like, okay. So Lucifer basically is going inside Jeff's head. And so he's in there and he's giving him the lowdown about all the events that are coming up until the Secret Service come in and they're like, and sees Jeff talking to himself.
Yeah. And the guard sees him talking about how he's got people have to believe that I'm the president of the United States and is freaked out. So Lucifer looks over, red eyes glow, and he kills the guy. Kills the Secret Service.
He force chokes him to death.
Yeah, it's sad. There we go. So we cut to a scene right away of the body being rolled out and President Jeff Lucifer, what I wrote down, is lying. There's a group around him and he's lying, but he's telling a story about how we were talking about different types of barbecue and I went to the restroom. When I came out, he was dead. I tried CPR, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, they all eat it right up. And this lady that's on the team is like, oh, well, it's clear that he had a massive cerebral hemorrhage. We'll do an autopsy, but there's obviously no signs of foul play. It's totally fine. And then a female member of the staff is like, you should say a few words to the man upstairs like you do every morning, and hands him a Bible. They all kneel to pray. So as we watch the Bible slightly burning Lucifer's hand, he is awkwardly starting his prayer about how they're all babies trying to walk upright, but they need the father to be there when they fall, and they lost a brother today, but tomorrow they'll continue their work. Amen.
Right. And we go from there to the bunker, and Crass is looking at crime scene photos, and he just thinks that level of violence is just unnecessary, and I would agree. And Sam just is like, okay, well, we got to think about, where is Lucifer now? Where would Lucifer go?
So we cut back to we now know we are at the Forrester Estate presidential compound. And we've got this woman we find out her name is Kelly. She's kind of like, seems to be like a chief of staff-ish type person.
Yeah, chief of staff, aide, whatever.
Yeah. And she's kind of leading this meeting, talking about the breakdown of negotiations in Belarus, and asks the president if it's time to call the UN. And he suggests instead that they nuke them. And no one is amused.
Yeah, oddly enough, most people don't take that as a joke from the president of the United States. Go figure. And the staff and then they all exit. Yeah. And then
Kelly follows
and she runs up to catch up with Lucifer to tell him the latest poll numbers, and he's the most popular sitting president in modern history.
And then they're gonna go have sexy time.
Yeah, because she kicks Otto of the room and they have sex. And then they have awkward pillow talk where she wishes their love could be public and that they could be a real couple. And then she makes it really awkward by talking about babies and how he would be an amazing father.
I will say, to be clear, it's not because President Jeff was cheating. He's a widower. They do note that. Not that Lucifer would care. I'm just saying that was a line note. But yes, she makes it super weird talking about babies right there. They want to be a real couple, and he's just smiling about the baby talk. So that's interesting. So we see that the woman who reported on the cause of death of our other Secret Service agent is now standing at this abandoned farmhouse, and Crowley shows up and she calls him Your Majesty. And so now we know she's working for Crowley. And he's like, oh, you might be able to earn back your soul if you help us. And she's like, look, there was a death and I ascribed it to natural causes, but it was anything but. So now we know that she is reporting to Crowley where Lucifer is. But Anyways, back at the bunker, Dean has powered down the warding because Crowley has big news and he is coming to tell them.
So the failing is the warding was actually on. And so you actually had a security system working at the bunker for a change. I'm very shocked here.
Weird. I'm like, they turned it off? That means it was on?
Like, you turned it on at some point? What? When did you do that? Like, I thought anybody could just walk in the fucking bunker, as was proven last season. Like, when all the Frankenfurters went in there, you know? Anyhow. So Sam wants to keep Crowley at a distance, but he just pops in and, of course, overhears him talking shit about him.
Yeah, which is not awesome, but that's all right. He's got news. So, and because he has operatives, even though he can't go to his own palace. And so, anyways, Crowley is going to go get on Sam's laptop because he knows the identity of Lucifer's newest vessel and shows them the picture of President Jefferson Rooney.
President Jeff.
Bum bum. So we know where Lucifer is. And back at that estate, we've got President Jeff Lucifer. That's what I was calling him.
Yeah.
Telling his Secret Service dude Rick he's got this super confidential situation. There are 2 mentally unstable, possibly cult members with assassination plans because I'm Satan.
Yep, they think he's Satan, and not metaphorically. And the agent gets to talk shit about how Satan isn't real.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious to do that to Satan. But also, Sam and Dean Winchester, and as we will, if you describe them to anybody else, they would sound insane, right? And so basically he just has to describe literally who they are, and they're like, these folks are crazy. Should we just, and then they're just like, should we just kill them? And I'm like, whoa, Secret Service, this is not what you're supposed to do.
That's not how that usually goes. So yeah, but they want to handle it, the Secret Service only. That's a quiet in the family job. I don't know. It's weird.
No, it's not good. It's dark side government shit. Like, no, that's not great. So, that happens. And then we go to the bunker, and Sam has gotten so desperate that he is going to call Mick Davies.
Ugh.
But he doesn't answer.
He doesn't answer. So he gets the voicemail and just hangs up. So Cass and Dean are talking, and the fact they're discussing that even with Rowena, Lucifer can't be returned to the cage while he's in his vessel. And so, and Sam's like, this is like the perfect safe house that Lucifer's in, though I don't know how we're gonna get in there. So they're discussing how it's even possible to get there because, with this fundraising jaunt that the president, quote unquote, is on, and looking at all his, this freaking Forrester estate owned by this hedge fund guy outside of Indianapolis, and how much security is there. So they need another plan.
Yeah, or need a plan, because it's really hard to get to a high value asset like this. So then we go from there. All of a sudden we get to take a wonderful trip to Florida. And in Florida, we find out that Rowena's cash cow has been stepping out on her. You bastard.
Yeah. Louis not being faithful to Rowena. He's also seeing Mona, who's his heart is fond, but he couldn't vet really Rowena's background. It was kind of sus between her assets and ballet, and they both just accused each other of scamming the other, basically.
Yep. And then Crowley shows up, and and firstly he thinks that he's basically there to get his dry cleaning, and she yells. Yep, and she's yelling at him to get out, and he's like, it's his place. And then Crowley pops him all over her.
Yeah, he goes splody, and she says, it's the sweetest thing you've ever done for me, as she's covered in Louis' blood and guts.
Oh, so nice.
Yeah. So we go back to President Lucifer and Kelly in bed together. And she doesn't want him to laugh, but things just feel different. It's great, but she just can't describe. Something's changed. And they make out and cuddle.
So we go from there back to the bunker, and everything has gone all wonky for Cass. And he drops his coffee mugs, and it's because something has happened all over Angel Radio.
Mm-hmm. A Nephilim has come into being, which is, as a reminder, is the offspring between an angel and a human, and is considered an abomination.
And at some point, we'll come to the lore about what Nephilim are, because that's not exactly correct. It's kind of correct, but they're supposed to be giants anyways, but we're not there yet. Anyway, so the power to produce that is so immense, and it's more than what a typical angel could do.
Mm-hmm. So it had to be Lucifer. And Dean didn't know he was dating. Because Dean's got jokes. So they are driving to Indianapolis because this is a crisis. So Sam is asking Crowley to see if the mole knows of any girlfriend or mistresses or hookers or anything, because Crowley and Arena are going to meet them in Indianapolis.
And as they're going, a cop spots them. Cop spots them as they're going down the road, and they light him up.
Because baby is not inconspicuous.
They are not inconspicuous. So as we have learned on the show before, if you're trying to hide from the government, maybe not drive that Impala around. But then also, like, if you get pulled over by whoever, maybe jumping out of the car this way isn't like the best way to approach them, but that's what they choose to do. They
jump out of the car and start flashing their fake badges.
Yeah. And that doesn't really work with the Secret Service.
Secret Service is not into that at all. But they also know who the Winchesters are. So they know
and
exactly
everyone's sphincter just tightened up when they were like, yeah, Winchesters. They're like, oh shit, no.
Yeah. So Dean punches Rick. Sam gets in a fight with them, and then blah, blah, blah. Guns get pulled. Sam and Dean are being held at gunpoint. Castiel casually gets out of the car. And as this is all going down, a Bentley rolls up with Take 5 by Dave Brubeck blaring so loud you can hear it outside the car.
And it's very weird to have a jazz song stuck in your head. And it's stuck in my fucking head right now.
Yeah. And then we see our person get out of the vehicle, gets in the trunk. It's a giant grenade launcher. And
his own trunk, by the way. So I would say this is like a special trunk. A trunk adjacent. I don't know.
The neighbor trunk? I don't know.
We'll have to come up with a term for it.
And shoots a grenade launcher at the Secret Service vehicle.
Yep. And everybody smart ducks for cover, and he tells the angel to wipe their memories. And after being rudely asked by Dean who he is, he introduces himself as Arthur Ketch, British man of letters. Da-da-da. And da-da-da, da-da-da. So that's our secret lore theme. We're going to have some jazz playing in there now, I think. But yeah, so as I said earlier this season, there's a kind of a running theme to the season. That's the British men of letters. And along with that, there is a secret society in Britain that we are leading up to, and that's the Hermetic Brotherhood of the Golden Dawn. But it's the Golden Dawn. And we're not quite there yet. We're still talking about another secret society, because there's just so many of them at this time. The Victorians loved a secret society, and we're going to talk about one of the precursors to the Golden Dawn who produced some of their members, and that's the HB of L. And you had to become a member of the HB of L to learn what that meant, but it supposedly stood for the Hermetic Brotherhood of Luxor, right? The exact date of founding is unknown because it's a secret society, but it was sometime around 1884 by three guys. Max Theon, Peter Davidson, and Thomas H. Burgoyne. None of these are their real names. Maybe Peter Davidson's. But so Max Theon had many aliases, and he taught a sex magic via a combination of Kabbalistic and Vedic elements blended into a cosmic philosophy. He was possibly the son of a Warsaw rabbi who was a leader in the Frankist Reformation, sect known for their orgiastic sex rites. Burgoyne was likely a man name assumed by Thomas Henry Dalton, who had been imprisoned in Leeds, England in 1883 on charges of fraud. After he was released from prison, he met up with his Scottish Mason friend, Peter. Also, his name is Peter Davidson, and I laugh every time I say it. So Peter Davidson was a Scottish fiddle maker. He and Thomas went to America to try and found a community for the HBFL. They wanted to go to California, but that was too expensive. Then they wanted to go to Florida, but that didn't work. So Peter ended up in Georgia, where he became known for his herbal elixirs and his magic mirrors. The three of them adapted Pascal Beverly Randolph's The Mysteries of Eros and Ulysses, with more emphasis on sex magic than was presently in that book, to form the curriculum of the HBFL, which was kind of a mail order secret society that was open to anyone who was prepared to submit their horoscope and a photograph, which the photograph would get sent back. But this is 1880s. That seems like an ask, right? You've got to have the money to have a photograph and one that you can part with, right? And, and you're going to be all looking all serious and shit in it. And we're going to be like, look, man, I had to stand there for 30 minutes. I'm much happier than this. Like, please, like, just don't. Or you can send them a spirit photograph photo. Like, that was kind of taken off at the time. Anyways, so you could be denied if your horoscope wasn't quite right. But other than that, if you got the mail order course, the student got an assigned teacher who was only supposed to be a helper, as you had to go to another dimension to meet the real masters. Though they are known as the Hermetic Brotherhood of Luxor, they really have little to do with Egypt. They did become known for being opposed to the Eastern thought of the Theosophists and Madame Blavatsky. Them and Madame Blavatsky were having some serious, she fought with everybody, but she was fighting with them specifically. And they started proclaiming themselves to be a true Hermetic Western occult society. And the way they did it doesn't paint them that well under today's light, because were very like, okay, I'm just going to put it this way. So the first advertisement that was in an 1884 edition of this Hermetic book said, students of the occult science, searchers after truth, and theosophists who may have been disappointed in their expectations of sublime wisdom being freely dispensed by Hindu Mahatmas are cordially invited to send in their names to the editors of this work. So they're specifically going after them, but also that you didn't need to put the Hindu part in there, but they did. So they continue on in an editorial for the Occult magazine, which they published. Thomas said, there are many pathways that may lead to the same mountain summit. So there are many methods of occult training exactly suitable to different nationalities, by which the same soul powers may be evolved in the best manner. Yoga training as practiced in India is totally unfitted for Western people residing in our colder climates. European habit of thought, the influence of past generations of Christian sway, and everything belonging to the civilization of the West has powerfully assisted in making the European nations the very opposite in thought, word, and deed to those of far off Hindustan, which is what they called India. So beyond just like the Indian racism there also just the note that you were too cold in England to do yoga, which that may be not wrong.
Right.
Maybe it is too cold in England to be doing yoga.
They didn't have HVAC then. I mean, I don't know.
Right. So in their charter that was signed by Max Theon, Grand Master Pro Temp of the Exterior Circle, included some of the following. We recognize the external existence of the great cause of light, the invisible center whose vibrating soul, gloriously radiant, is a living breath, the vital principle of all that exists and will ever exist. It is from this divine summit that goes forth the invisible power which binds the vast universe in a harmonious whole. By the way, I was dictating some of this from a book, and the dictation thought I wrote harmonious whole with an H, which is very different than the harmonious whole I think they were talking about with the hua.
The
Whole.
WH.
Whole, yes.
Whole.
Also in the charter, they said whole. Remember, not Courtney Love's band, but a whole. So remember, we teach freely without reservation, anyone worthy of instruction. They did have to include that worthy. Like, we'll teach anybody, but they had to be worthy of instruction.
Right.
And their last line of their charter said, finally, the members have full freedom of thought and judgment. By no means may one member be disrespectful towards members of other religious beliefs or impose his own convictions on others. So we appreciate this code of conduct that was in here, like circa 1884, but it's nice to know, like, that's always been around with certain groups, right? So there were 2 HBFL lodges in America, one in Osceola, Florida, and the other in Rochester, New York, both which were pretty home to a lot of spiritualist-like people. The New York lodge became run by a lady named Josephine Cables, who was an occultist, writer, lecturer, and was previously a secretary of the Theosophical Society. She ends up marrying the senator from Alabama, who ends up making his own weird little mining town that someday we'll talk about. But anyhow, not to digress on that. All right. So the rules for occult training. So if you want to join the HBFL, you've got to follow their rules. And the first one, the neophyte must abstain from smoking, the use of intoxicants, flesh eating, etc., which is what they called not being a vegetarian.
I was like, yes, abstain from flesh eating, please.
Yes. In general, I would say flesh eating is bad. But so the diet must be wholesome and strictly vegetarian in nature. And this was kind of big with Victorian spirit, like people who were into kind of being spiritual, not necessarily spiritualist, but people who were trying to, the new age, Victorian new age, like they're really being into vegetarians, like Anna Kingford, right? So, number 2, each morning or as often as possible, the neophyte must take a cold bath. According as a natural constitution is robust or delicate, when the bath is not convenient, the body must be well rubbed with a coarse, wet towel. So, cold plunge.
That's what I was about to say. I'm like, we got vegans that cold plunge.
Vegans that cold plunge. Things never fucking change. All right, then number 3, during the day, whether engaged in business or otherwise, there must be a strong systemic effort made to check the slightest evil thought, word, or deed, and gossip under all circumstances must be completely prohibited. So no gossip, people. In fact, the neophyte, while pleasantly performing the necessary duties of life, must cultivate a quiet, calm, reserved, self-possessed state of mind and endeavor to his utmost to hold and check grief, joy, surprise, pleasure, or pain. For be it remembered that the passions and sensations of the body are each and all but pretty subordinate states, or in other words, centers of occult force, which will ever strive to usurp the imperial rule of the true monarch, the human will. So they want you to not have any emotions at all throughout the day because you've got to harness your will. So you've got to be super calm. No gossip either. These guys are like for occult, they're super boring. All right. Especially for when we get to the sex magic, I'm sorry, I'm not going to ruin it. We're going to have sex magic, I promise. All right. So number 4, so they got to get some control. Then number 5, you get some incense. And then every day you've got to gaze into a mirror and chant an incantation and try and become one with the mirror so you can penetrate the astral. Yep. And then at night every day, actually, I really like this one. Relax in an easy chair or recline on a couch. Done. It was done right there. But you had to do stuff while you're on it. Okay, so while you're on there, you're supposed to be formulating mental or metaphysical objects in your brain and then try and project them externally onto the ceiling. He may also find much benefit from a psychic point of view if he tries to reproduce any of the objects seen during the day. This is the grand secret of penetrating the astrolight of the past by the pathway that leads to the secrets of the astrolight. So think about something that you saw during the day, like you saw an orange, and then you try and like remember that orange and like put it on your ceiling and then try and make that orange like astral project itself. And then if you can do that, then you can master your way to the past. And then you can master time travel.
Huh.
Yeah. And so the last rule of the occult training, the moral tone, this is why I don't think I might be able to pass this one. The moral tone of the neophyte's life must be pure, spotless, and unholy by selfish desires. Especially must all sexual relations be carefully guarded and only participated in after due thought and a careful study of the ansiretic arcana. It is this very fatal state of sex that has ruined thousands of otherwise promising inspirants for occult initiation. Thousands of them. Thousands of them have been ruined. So that arcanum sounds hella racist when you read it. I'll just tell you that. You don't have to read it for yourself. And it's mainly twin flame nonsense about soulmates, some terrible, terrible advice about when women can get pregnant. Do not use that as a guide. No. And also that unhealthy women were unfit mothers. Cool, guys. And we don't have time to go through their initiation rites, and they have different ones for self and public. They're not that exciting. They're mainly about like having a white cloth and some lamps. They don't even get dressed up good. They do legit use this following phrase, which shows how hard they tried. Dearly beloved, this man or woman, as a case, may be having entered by the eastern gate, now humbly supplicates at the foot of the sacred altar to be admitted as a brother or sister to the ranks of our ancient and noble order of the HBOL. I therefore circularly command all of you who are now present, if anyone know any just cause or impediment why this man or woman should not be admitted, that you openly declare it now or forever hold your peace.
So it's like a wedding, but also they're letting people call out and say, nah, don't come in.
Exactly. Fun, right? So initiates swore to follow the 7 principal rules of the HBOL, which reiterated the rules for occult trading and included that the fee for admission and initiation as a probationary candidate is $5 and the annual subscription membership is $1.25, which must be paid by the members in America to the treasurer of the Central Council. There is no further charge except for further initiation, which can only take place at long intervals, and no case any initiation fee more than $5. All instruction, teaching, and other information must be given by either teachers or members for free of charge. So at least there's some money caps on there, right? Okay, and finally, the sex magic. I promise you the sex magic. And it should be more interesting and fun than this, but these guys were so fucking boring. Thomas warned that the power of sexual love never be used for selfish purposes. Boo! And the purpose of sex magic was the evolution of powers in the unborn child and the elaboration of social and domestic bliss in the married state. So the full initiation was only for married people. Bachelors could only learn theoretically. And they just wanted to create these children who were higher up on the human evolutionary ladder by banging while doing this sex magic, right? Because they're like, you're creating all this divine energy and then like you poof it out and you make like a magic baby, right? Then they have
I don't think they said magic baby, did they?
No, but that's what they were thinking. It's like an ethereal it's like an ethereal child or some bullshit like that. I don't know what they call it. After an ecstatic blending of spirit. Ugh. So in their book, they have the mystery of the Eros, and there's important items for the sex mysteries. But some sad things. They let you know that an evil desire or wish during the excitement of sexual intercourse directed against the male by the female or vice versa will magnetically poison and result in innumerable disorders, generally of a sexual nature. So don't do that.
Don't think bad thoughts during sex.
Don't have evil desires or wishes while you're fucking, okay? But a good and benevolent desire expressed in a tender and earnest loving spirit will magnetically strengthen the sexual organisms and benefit the person. So do think good and benevolent desires, right? But an evil thought or desire, if projected against any person during the supreme moment, not as the one you're having sex with, during the supreme moment of sexual excitement, will have the most evil effect upon the one against whom directed. But at the same time, remember that every desire, when it has completed its orbit, returns to the source from which it emanated. Consequently, those who are guilty of such diabolical practices reap with interest all the evil that they have sown. So going in the, if you what you dole out, it's karma, right? Yeah. It's gonna come back.
Yeah.
So but you can do it. But just know it's gonna come back. But you can do it. Yeah, and then but you can't do a good or benevolent wish for yourself or another person. That doesn't work.
That's lame. You can only do evil, that'll come back on you. You can't do good, that'll come back on you.
You can't do good because you cannot penetrate that high state of good. The evil desire, your sperm can't get through. So the student may ask why an evil desire may have more effect during the excitement of sexual intercourse than at any other times. The answer is because the power and potency of all magical operations of the human will below a certain plan of development depends on the degree of the excitement of the soul at the moment of projecting the will. And we know that sexual passion is by far the most intensely powerful of the human organism, blah, blah, blah. So it's like, you can't smoke, you can't drink, you can only fuck if you're married, and you can't do evil. What kind of cult is this? This is a lame ass cult. All right. So Max ends up marrying a Scottish medium named Mary Ware, and they go off and settle in Algeria. Thomas ends up in Monterey, California, where he publishes a reboot of these teachings, and that book's authorship has much been debated. He maybe gets another persona, like adapts another identity and marries the woman who is the creator of harmonial gymnastics and a pioneer in westernizing yoga. Pete Davidson went on to SNL. So it has been rumored that Peter Davidson's family burned all his manuscripts. But someone wrote the following comment on a blog, and we're going to end this today with this just because it's spicy. I don't know if this is true. This is from the internet. I'm just going to read it. Peter Davidson is my great-great-grandfather. Richard Davidson kept all the books handed down through the years away from family members. Sad to say, but he personally told me that our own family members were stealing antiques, books, and other items from the old house. 23 years before Richard Davidson died, he gave me all the old books that had been hidden for over 100 years. Yes, I have a complete library of Peter Davidson's notes, the books he wrote, and also thousands of rare books that he brought from Scotland. Richard Davidson was a fine man, but Peter Davidson, even though he was very smart, was a follower of the occult. His books made it clear what he believed. I have visited the original Paradise location where Peter Davidson settled with his family. I would purchase it from the owner, but I have no desire to do so because the man so many worship was a fraud. The secret societies he belonged to were so immoral, unethical, and something that even our modern day society would see as wrong. The only people interested in his work are the New Age followers, quote unquote, New Age followers in California. So now you know the truth, read the facts, and stop honoring a man who was a false teacher. Damn, that's some spicy shit. If that guy was true and that was really his great grandfather, to be like he was a fraud and all his shit was real immoral. But yeah, there's some stuff in there that sounds pretty racist. Some stuff that sounds like kind of eugenicsy, as but you can dive further into that if you want to, or you could just go find other ways to have sex magic, and I encourage you to do so. Or don't have sex magic at all. I also encourage you not to do that. We don't tell you what to do here. This is a podcast. All right. So, so coming out of Sex Magic Land, we're going back to where Sam has called.
Yeah, because we're in the woods. Let's go to the woods. So Sam and Dean are talking to Arthur Ketch in the woods. And he's saying that, oh, yeah, we're trying to take our efforts. Mick wants to take the efforts international, but we only come when we're called. And Sam called. And stir each other down. Busted.
Oh, we almost did
And
that at the same time.
I know. But he assumed that they were in trouble, and they were. And yeah, so he's referring, he won't call Castiel by his name. He calls him Halo, which is cute, but also kind of degrading. Anyways, and he's like, am I lying? Because Dean's like, what the fuck? And he's like, no, but lies can be situational. And Catch is like, no. I know a good old Lady Bevel is excitable. And Dean's like, excitable? She tried to fucking kill us. Come on now. And he's like, look, here's the deal. I'm not, I don't really care one way or the other. I'm not an ideologue. So, and Cass is like, wait, so you just want to help hunters kill monsters in the US? He's like, yeah, we can offer expertise, weapons, and skills,
Look at my trunk.
Look at my trunk.
And he's like, shows off his trunk. And he shows them he's got this tool for vampire nest irradiation. It is like a magical egg. And he's got this magical egg that drives demons out of vessels. Which then they're like, oh crap, can that work on an angel?
Yeah, because this could be helpful. And it's a hyperbolic pulse generator, is what he calls it, because exorcisms
it's a magic egg.
Unreliable. And
whatever those words are, those are way too long. It's a magic egg.
It is. And so we go to Dean showing Crowley the magic egg with sigils all over it. And they are discussing that they need to figure out how to get to Lucifer, and as Rowena is setting up her altar and spell.
Yep. And she looks great. And we learn that the girl's name is Kelly. And then they figure out that only one of them has a chance of getting onto that compound.
Because Kelly is pregnant. She knows now that she's pregnant. And Crowley is there and poofs her away. And we are in this motel room, and they're at this house, and obviously Kelly doesn't believe them. They are telling her what's up. I mean, they just told this girl who works for the president of the United States that the president is possessed by Lucifer and has impregnated her.
Yeah,
that's distressing information.
I would never, ever, 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 ever believe it. And then they're like, I'm a witch. He's an angel. And then there's the king of hell, but God left. So God's not here. And then they try and explain that they've been on Satan's trail for Lucifer's trail for a long time. And it's just like, what?
And she's like, no, he's not the devil. He's just been under some stress. And they're like, no, we know what we're talking about it. We know you're pregnant. And Cass is going to go, that thing inside you is an unholy abomination. Bleh.
Unholy Abomination's the title of my next album.
And he has her place her hand on a Bible to prove this, because it catches on fire. And I agree that would be very upsetting.
It's happened.
No, it would be upsetting.
Ugh. Sometimes you just smoke when you touch a Bible. It happens. No judgment, Kelly. It happens to everybody sometimes. All right.
I wouldn't say everybody.
Every now and then you just set shit on fire. It's called perimenopause or being pregnant. All right. So
Dean wants to know if Lucifer knows about the baby, and she shares that he was thrilled because that's the only time he's created anything.
It's also, nobody is talking about the fact that you knew you were pregnant within like a day of fucking, because that's weird. That itself is weird. Like that doesn't normally happen.
I just assumed that was a Nephilim thing.
Yeah, I know. But I'm just saying, like, that also, her, like, she, like, that's what I was her. I'd be like, that's weird, right? Like,
right, because even if they've been banging for a while, it's clearly this, I don't know, that's super weird. It's all weird.
Yeah, so I don't know why she's obviously still freaked out, but that would freak me out too. Blah, blah. And then we're gonna go to the compound.
Yeah, where Lucifer is pacing and contemplating giving a full pardon to Charles Manson when Kelly calls.
Yeah, he wasn't dead at that time.
So we cut to the Secret Service rolling into this Plains motel. And the Secret Service guys go inside to one of the rooms first. Kelly's in there, and they sweep it, and we see that everybody, all the gang is all hiding in the second room, the adjacent room. And Castiel manages to mind control the one dude that finds him in the closet that he's not there. So they send the president in to meet with Kelly.
And he's like, Kelly's going to get to learn what Lucifer is really like. Because he's like, what's wrong? And she's like, I can't have your baby. And then his response is to choke her out.
And glows red eyes at her. So Sam busts in with the egg, the magic egg. And
I'm going to shake my egg at you.
He hits a sigil on the wall and starts an incantation. And we see white light like glowing around our President Lucifer. And Rowena starts her spell, and Lucifer's pissed. And Sam tells him to go to hell because ha ha ha. Anyways, and as this is happening, Lucifer white smokes out and is gone.
But not before he gives a "it's not over" to Sam, and very specifically to Sam. I'm like, I'm not sure why you're really honing in on Moose here, but he does. And so now this feels like very personal between the two of them. Then we're going to go outside of this motel where the agents have coming in and they have guns blaring.
Yeah. And so our President Jeff is alive, by the way, but he won't remember anything. And Castiel manages to sneak Kelly out the back, and they are on the go. So the Secret Service are there, and they are very upset, and they are arresting Sam and Dean for the attempted assassination of the president.
Yep. That's not good. That is no bueno.
They get loaded into an armored vehicle.
Yeah, a very, very big old truck. And they get taken away. And so we're like, what has just happened? And it's crazy. And then we go from there to a diner. Oh, East Coast diners.
Cass and Kelly are at the diner, and she's a little distraught. I mean, that's a lot. So she's excusing herself to the restroom, except she's not. She sneaks out the fucking back.
This happens to him so much. People just leave him, and he should probably know to look out for this by now. But yeah, he gets ditched when someone says they have to go to the bathroom again.
Yeah, and so she's like, fuck this, I'm getting in a cab. And so she leaves, and as she's leaving, they get on, he runs out to find her because he realizes that she left. They get on the phone. She's like, I can't do it. I can feel this inside of me. I'm its mother. He's like, it's the spawn of Lucifer. She's like, it's my child, and hangs up.
It's my baby.
Yeah. And so there we go. And we see Sam and Dean shackled in the back of this armored vehicle, and that's our episode.
Yeah, they are very shackled up. So yeah, so I don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
We have Lucifer's baby, the boys being taken away by the government to a black ops site, probably. Who knows?
And so let's talk about our cast.
Okay.
All right. So President Jefferson Rooney, aka Lucifer, was played by David Chisholm. He's been in episodes of Melrose Place, Third Rock from the Sun, Charmed, 24, CSI, LA, and New York, 90210, Criminal Minds, American Horror Story, Dexter, NCIS, and Unreal. Kelly Klein was played by Courtney Ford. We'll see her again. She's been episodes of Moesha, Ugly Betty, How I Met Your Mother, Grey's Anatomy, Vampire Diaries, CSI New York, several episodes of Revenge and The Flash. She was Christine Hill in Dexter as a reoccurring character. She was Portia Bellafleur in True Blood as a reoccurring character. And she also did the voice of Piper in the Fallout 4 game. Fallout's very popular right now. I need to watch the new season still. Rick Sanchez was played by Stephen Lobo. He's been an episode, and we'll see him again. He's been in episodes of Smallville, a handful of those, Fringe, X-Files, Zoo, Travelers, Flash, Arrow, Van Helsing, Nancy Drew, and Fire Country. He was Seth in Painkiller Jane as a reoccurring character, Matthew in Continuum, Martin in Snowpiercer, and Ajit in Allegiance. All his recurring roles. Louis, our Rowena's lover, was played by Mark Brandon. He's been in episodes of Days of Our Lives, Dynasty, 4400, Mad Men, Almost Human, iZombie, Unreal, Travelers, a series of unfortunate events. Zoo, Riverdale a couple times, Nancy Drew, Flash, Chesapeake Shores, and Kung Fu. He was an anchor in the movie The Company You Keep, Mr. Fuller in Final Destination Bloodlines, the newest one, and a lot of Hallmark as well. Our coroner, who was very briefly there, but we got to see for a second, he is played by Eddie Flake. He's been in episodes of Supergirl, Bates Motel, iZombie, X-Files, a couple episodes of Lucifer, and Cleaning Lady, as well as Pluribus. And I called her, I thought she was a doctor lady, the blonde Secret Service chick that called the cause of death.
She was a doctor in the transcript. I will say that.
But they didn't call her that in the cast.
Yeah, okay.
It was weird.
So in the script, she was called a doctor.
Yeah. She was played by Kathleen Dubourg. She's been in episodes of X-Files, Call of the Wild, remember that one? 4400, iZombie, Magicians, Riverdale, Nancy Drew, and Happy Face, and she's the judge's wife in the film Goblin. And our priest was played by Philip Peugeot. He's been in episodes of Arrow, iZombie, Supergirl, Siren, Charmed, Riverdale, and Allegiance. There you go. Yeah. So yeah, this is a wild fucking episode.
Lucifer's having a baby.
Lucifer possesses the president and then knocks up someone.
There's a whole president. It's been possessed by Satan line. Yeah, so they did that. Yeah, so they pushed things hard on this episode.
This is a lot. A lot.
So it's a lot to take in. But I mean, at least we only had to do like one episode of Lotus.
Yeah.
I think more than that probably would have been a lot. But yeah, and then we have, how it ends too. And we get more Ketch. And Ketch was really fun in this episode, especially because he had a big old grenade gun. And we'll see how our feelings change and grow about Mr. Ketch and the rest of them. But so at least we got some British men of letters back. Mary's still on the run. We don't know where she is. Does this mean Crowley and Rowena's relationship with the boys are over? Cass and Crowley finally breaking up?
It's a lot. There's a lot.
But it wasn't a bummer.
No, it was a very exciting episode. I mean, it's kind of a bummer they're like shackled in an armored vehicle at the end, but no, it wasn't.
Yeah, that was a bummer, but not in like a sad way.
No, I agree.
It's more like it's a problem we need to solve, not necessarily,
It was a very high, like a lot of action, but not action. Does that make sense?
No, this was a very thriller action type, like
going on.
I think it's also anytime you add in like Secret Service agents, it automatically kind of adds in that Red October sort of thrilly, like action thriller type of way.
It does feel that more. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, look forward to I don't know what's gonna happen. Like look forward to figuring out what happens in the next episode.
I wonder what's happening in the next episode.
All right. So we'll on that note, cheers, Jerk.
Cheers, bitch.